Hello there, vinyl community. So it's Martin Luther King Day. Home from work, or at least don't have to do any, not under the gun to get anything done. So enjoying national holiday, contemplating the meaning of Martin Luther King Day in the face of the kind of world that we live in. And interestingly enough, not too many news reports about the contradictions there, but as we've grown to expect. Listen to some music. It's an album called The Opium Eyes of Negro. And it's a bit of a, these drones, uses a lot of sitar, and yeah, it's got a nice droney, and then they use some passages from like other tracks that you might recognize a little bit, like weaved into them. Something I don't think they needed to do. They use Golden Hair by Syd Barrett, and they use Tomorrow Never Knows from Lennon and McCartney. So yeah, despite that, they didn't really need to do that, but cool. And so I thought today I would show a few. A couple days ago we did the journey of electronic music, and there were so many albums that we left out, and comments, people seem to enjoy it. So thought I would show a few more, maybe a few classics of things you'd expect to see on an electronic music thread, and then go from there. First one I wanted to show, though, is this. It's actually a CD. This is Brian Eno, Thursday Afternoon. This is an album Eno did as a commissioned piece that there was a piece of, or a series of art projects, paintings, and they put them into a kind of a VHS format. And so the idea was that in the museum, these pieces would be running and changing ever so slightly, and they wanted a kind of a piece of music that would do the same, that would basically stay stable, but change ever so slightly. And boy, if Eno didn't capture that ideal on this, to me this sounds a lot like a Starry Night. Has these very cool, imagine a lot of silence, and then a consistent drone with these like electronic flourishes sprinkled throughout it. It goes on for about an hour. And yeah, cool piece of music, and I never hear anyone mention this Eno record, and it's one of my favorites. Next, I thought I'd show a record I don't see mentioned very often, and in fact I've never seen anyone show it. This is Frederick Valentine, and the name of the album is Elephant. And very cool psychedelic artwork, and I'll be listening to this. And it's very psychedelic, very melancholic, all electronic with some, it feels very organic, and it feels acoustic at times, but definitely based in kind of electronic sounds. Cool record, and one came out during COVID. It's like 2018, 2019, something like that. And then just quickly, I thought I would show a couple of, we all know these records. You don't have an electronic music video without showing Autechre. In some ways it all kind of begins, right there. And these two albums, I think, are probably the most accessible. And these are the reissues. I had the CDs forever. When these reissues came out, I ended up just getting the CDs. They sound good So I'm pretty happy with those. Next, I mean, you have to show, this record. If for some reason you haven't heard this yet, maybe you're not an electronic music person and you want to know where to get started, and hear something really different, this would be a good place to start. Beautiful, clubby, but not dance floor. After hours, but still interesting and vital. Great record. And so, another Apex Twins. This album is, to me, this is a little more exciting and a little more diverse. And it has some of that select ambient work sound sprinkled in here. But he's going in a whole other direction now. Great record, diverse, in your face sometimes, and sometimes just almost ambient. Great record. And then to show, this is one you don't see even being talked about very often. This is Select Ambient Works Volume 2. And this is really different from the first one. This is on that, 1972 label. Not really known to do great products, but that's the only way that I saw that it came out, at least statewide, that this came out. So I grabbed it when it was available for a pretty short period of time. And this is very different, though, from the first one. This is much more about soundscapes and pulling from the traditions of the avant-garde, and really going off in some unique directions. So if you get this thinking you're going to get more of Select Ambient Works Volume 1, this is equally as good, but very different. John Hopkins, don't hear this guy talked about that much, but he he's worked with, Brian Eno and John Cale and Daniel Lanois and a whole bunch of people. And in 2013, I think, he made this record. And this is, it's supposed to be, it kind of almost has this concept behind it of being a night out at a club. And you hear the rattling of the car keys when the guy gets in and starts his car up and goes to the club. And then so the beginning of it is more clubby, and then as it works its way through, the night goes on and it becomes more and more ambient and thought-provoking, and kind of micro techno sound. Really good record. Now, talk about contemplative electronic music records. So that came out in 2013. This came out in 2018, and this is a very, very thought-provoking piece of music. And I know not everybody likes Hopkins music. I think this is a stellar piece of music. Interesting, ambient, but never background music. Using all the tools that he was so good at on his other album, and I think really maturing them on this one. These are two albums not to miss out on. I don't think you're going to see them on too many lists, but I think they're great. Oval. So these first two Oval records is just glitchy, electronic goodness. And the first one is fantastic. And this is, I think these are still available on Thrill Jockey. So the first Oval record. And then I think this is probably more well known, the second one. And really amazing electronic. These are two, in my eyes, two landmark electronic music albums. that really showed what you could do off the dance floor. There's nothing dance floor about this. And really taking electronic music in another direction. Both these old albums, and he's done a lot of additional albums after that. I don't think any of them really have done it for me. One just came out, I think, last year, and it just didn't do it for me. But those two records, I wouldn't want to live without them. This is a good record. And I heard this on Stunty's live stream. This combines electronic and a lot of acoustic instrumentation, symphonic. Imagine that. Imagine a symphonic composition mixed together with electronics, but uniquely done and beautifully done. Just a modern classic. And then one more, talk about interesting abstract beats that just take you on a electronic voyage. This album will take you on an electronic voyage. Easily accessible. I think this can still be had for a good price. And I say grab it while it's available because yeah, you won't want to miss out on this. Anyway, just wanted to show a few more records and a little more thought-provoking. If you have any thoughts, please let me know. I enjoy reading what people have to say, and if you have any records you want to share, I'm always, hey, that's why we all do this, right? You know, it's fun to learn about new pieces of music. And if you're celebrating Martin Luther King Day today, and think about, you know, go back and read letters from a Birmingham jail and what King would have had to say. You know, it's interesting that they're not talking a lot. You don't hear the national media talking that much about Martin Luther King Day this year, whereas normally they're really talking about it a lot. And I think it's because of the contradictions that we would see our own government doing all around the world. There are wars raging across the planet against civilian populations, and they're talking about celebrating a man of peace and who would never tolerate the kind of mass incarceration that's going on the Gaza. So anyway, sorry to be so political, but can't help but wonder about these contradictions sometimes. Have a good day, and we'll see you later. Thanks.